we're cooking gluten-free and dairy-free. Today I'm going to share with you a recipe of my grandmother's that we had every Christmas growing up. It was sweet potato casserole. I'm going to do her recipe, but I'm going to make it gluten-free and dairy-free, but it has a lot of sugar in it. And then I'm going to do a healthier recipe that's gluten-free and dairy-free that has just refined sugar, natural sugars, and not the regular white sugar. So we'll do two recipes, so let's get started. Alright, we're going to start off with 4 sweet potatoes. My grandmother's recipe calls for 3 large sweet potatoes, but because I'm doing it 2 ways, I thought I needed a little bit more. So we're starting with 4. We're going to peel them and cut them up, and I'll put them in this pan. They can all boil together, that part's all the same. So see you in a bit. And depending on how fast you want to cook your sweet potatoes, you can chop them smaller. If you chop them into rounds, you can leave them like this and it'll just take a little longer, or you can quarter them like I'm doing, and it won't take quite as long to get them soft where they will just, you can fork tender and then they're ready to blend. Okay, our potatoes have cooked and I've drained them, and I just want to show you how to know if your potatoes are ready. If it just slides in, the fork just slides in the potatoes, you know they're ready. Now, on both of these versions, the more healthy one and the less healthy one, they start off the same. So we're going to put them in one bowl to begin with. I'm just going to put them in this one. I want to mix the healthy one first because I'm going to use the same mixer. So I'm going to mix it first so that I don't get any of the more unhealthy one in with the healthy one. So that's where we're going to start. And put this aside. Okay, so we're just going to add a few things and beat it with the blender. Now you can just mix it up with a spoon and just a fork and just keep working it, or use a masher if you don't have a blender. But I like to use a blender because I like it really, really creamy. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla flavoring. That's the top. The little top is equal to 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of vanilla flavoring, and it calls for a stick of butter, which is a 1/2 cup. Now, I don't use butter. I use my butter olive oil. If you don't have butter olive oil, you could just use an olive oil, but I use butter olive oil, and 1/2 cup is 4 ounces, and it says you need to replace it with 3/4 of what you're cooking. So instead of 4 ounces, I'm going to do 3 ounces, and that's about right. And then my grandmother will tell you to use 1/4 of a cup of milk, but no more, and not quite 1/4, so almost 1/4 of a cup of milk. Somebody uses the same measuring cup and see. Almost 1/4 of a cup. She was very specific about that. You don't want to use too much milk. Only almost 1/4 of a cup. So I have it right below 1/4 of a cup, and that's what we're going to do. So for both recipes, all of that is the same. So that works out well. Now we're going to blend it. Remember to start off on low and then increase it as you go so that it doesn't splatter everywhere when you begin. Now I'm going to take 1/2 of this mixture and pour it in the other bowl because we're going to do the more traditional. I still have to replace the milk with my coconut milk and my butter with the olive oil, but we're going to use regular sugar in this recipe, which was what my grandmother used. About right. Okay. So, in the more healthy version, instead of using regular white sugar, I'm going to use coconut sugar. It calls for 1 cup of regular sugar, but I'm going to use 1 cup of coconut sugar. And we're going to mix this up, and I'm going to taste it. If I don't feel like that it's sweet enough, I'm thinking I might add a little maple syrup, just like a tablespoon or so, but we'll see. Have a little taste. It's good. It's sweet enough, I think. I think it's sweet enough. I think some maple syrup would be good in it though. So I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. Just to add a little bit more sweetness. All right, let's blend that in. Let's see. I like that. Okay, I think we're done on this one. Let me go ahead and put it in a pie plate. Now, normally I would use like an 8x8 or a baking dish that looked like this. This is a 7x11. That's normally what I would use, but because I'm separated them, I'm going to use something smaller. I just picked my pie plate up. It's the blue one for the healthy. I sprayed it with coconut oil, and it's ready for the sweet potatoes. All right, that is ready. All right, so now we're back to my grandmother's recipe, just dairy-free. So to this, we're going to add a cup of regular white sugar. That's really the only difference in between the more traditional. It's got refined sugar in it, and the more healthy version has coconut sugar, which is a non-refined sugar, which is low on the glycemic index. So that's the big difference. Okay, and now that's mixed. I'll give it a taste, but I know what this tastes like. Yep. My grandmother's sweet potatoes. I really can't tell that much of a difference. I can tell a little bit of a difference with the butter being missing, but I can't tell that big of a difference. So that's a good thing. This butter olive oil is working nicely. And as far as the coconut milk, I can't taste that a coconut flavor or anything like that. So I think this is going to be a successful turn from a dairy recipe to a non-dairy recipe. Okay, now the toppings are going to have to be different because the topping for my grandmother's sweet potato casserole is marshmallows. We will cook this for about 20 minutes. Then we'll cover the top with marshmallows and put it back in the oven until they rise and melt and brown. This we're going to do a different topping, and we've got to prepare that before it goes in. This one is not going to be topped until after 20 minutes. This one's going to be topped to begin with. So what I need is a cup of brown sugar that is coconut sugar and a cup of gluten-free flour, just regular all-purpose gluten-free flour. I'm going to whisk these together. Now this topping was what my Aunt Shirley's recipe, and it had regular flour in it and regular sugar. So this is my first time making it gluten-free and refined sugar-free. So I'm excited to give it a try. Now also to this we add a half a cup of pecans. I'm not toasting them ahead of time because when I put them in the oven to bake, they'll be toasting while they're baking. So. And now the only way I know how to do this is with my fingers. I'm going to add some butter olive oil. Now the recipe calls for 1/4 of a cup. So 1/4 of a cup is 2 ounces. So I'm going to put in between 1 ounce and 2 ounces, right in the middle. So let me rinse this out. Okay, so 1.5 ounces of butter olive oil. And we're going to see how this works because it's supposed to be like a crumble, almost. And to me, it doesn't seem like that's going to be enough liquid, but we're going to squish it around with my fingers and we'll see if we need to add a little more. Okay, I definitely feel like it needs some more because it's still really powdery. I can feel it coming together and it's sticking to the pecans really well, but it's still very loose. It's not sandy enough or crumbly enough. So I'm going to add probably another 1.5 ounces. So I'm actually adding more of this than you would actual butter. So in total, that will be 3 ounces. And this butter olive oil is extra virgin olive oil, so it's the best of the best. Okay, now it's time to add the topping, and I'm just going to sprinkle it all on the top with my hand. I absolutely love pecans. It's just a staple in Southern cooking, Southern desserts, as well as savory dishes. So I use a lot of pecans. Anytime I can, I like to use them. They're ready to go in the oven. I'm going to put them in a 350-degree oven for 20 minutes. And then we'll top this one with marshmallows, and depending on the topping of this one, we'll either take it out or let it cook a little longer. And I'll let you know. It's been 20 minutes, so I pulled this one out and I'm adding the marshmallows. You just line them up all over the surface of your casserole. Okay, now it is ready to go back in the oven. We're gonna have to really watch it though, because it'll burn on you quickly if you don't watch it. The more healthy version was not quite ready. The top looked a little dry to me, so I drizzled some more of that butter olive oil on top of it. We're going to give it a little bit more time. All right, here we have them. Now this is they're both dairy-free and gluten-free. This is the one that has sugar and marshmallows, and this is the one that has a coconut sugar, which is a lower glycemic index food, and we're going to try them. My daughter says she will come over and help me try them today. This is Ariana, my baby. Yeah. So let's see.
That looks interesting. It's darker.
It's darker because of the coconut sugar. Instead of white sugar, it's coconut sugar. Now I know what this one tastes like, but I'll get a little.
Which recipe is that one?
This is Mamaw Dots sweet potato recipe that I do every year.
Gotcha.
And then this topping is Aunt Shirley's, but it's been changed to be gluten-free and dairy-free. So you want to try the traditional first, so you can kind of know what that tastes like, and know that this is going to taste different. But the question is it good? It's very hot. It just came out of the oven. I'm going to get up close so you can see. Very different color. The bright orange. This is a darker, deeper, richer color because of the different ingredients.
The traditional is as good as always.
As good as always, huh?
Still very hot though.
I think this crumble, I might need to reduce the flour that's in it maybe by half, because it's a lot of crumble, but it doesn't come together. I think it's still kind of flaky.
Sorry, I just broke my tongue.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. They've got two completely different like flavor profiles because this one's really more nutty, and I like that. But I'm a traditional girl, so
Right.
it's hard for me to say that anything's better than the tradition.
That's right, because you've had it all your life, and I've had it a lot longer than you. Because I had it when I was a little girl. So it's really hard to break away from the sugar one that my grandmother used to make. But I will say that I really enjoy this one. And if I'm cutting back on my refined sugar, I want to have lower glycemic index foods, this is definitely an option.
Yeah, it's still really good. It's just, like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So.
It is broke though.
So.
That's the problem though. It is broken because it's not healthy. It's really not healthy for you. Where this one is healthy for you. So I like it. I think it'll be an addition to our Thanksgiving holiday or our Christmas holidays.
I'm not opposed.
Well, good. Get you some chicken. Let's go eat.
Okay.